Yes, welcome back, Ingrid.
Thank you, Mr. Sema.
Good. Do you have an African name?
I do have. My other name is Towozile.
Ah,
My other name is Towozile. The reason I chose to use the name Ingrid because it's very sentimental. And when I found out from my dad how he came about giving me the name, because when I tried to find the origins of my name, I understood that it's got German origins and Swiss origins, and I wondered how on earth did you a black man living in South Africa decided.
yeah. Just I think you were expressing you're explaining very nicely how you came to be called Ingrid, and you said you were fascinated by how on earth an African be named Ingrid.
Yes, so my dad told me the story that when he was young, he was in a missionary school. So I think one of the teachers there was Ingrid. And when my dad related the story to me, that she was very fond. The teacher was very fond of him, and she's the one who taught him to speak English. He instilled a lot of good values in my dad's life, and that's how the name came about.
I see. And Thokozile, for those who don't speak the Nguni languages, means.
Tawazile means we are pleased, we are happy. So that's a Ndebele name because I am Ndebele. So my dad also gave me that name because as an African child, I mean, you need to have a Ndebele or any other. If you're Zulu, you must have a Zulu name. If you're Ndebele, then you must have a Ndebele name. It's part of your clan name. It's part of your culture.
I know that the Ndebeles are located in various regions of South Africa. Which Ndebele is that? Is the Ndebele in the KwaNdebele or is the Ndebele? There are the Ndebeles also in Mletlane in the Limpopo and in Mukopane as well.
Yes, we are from KwaNdebele, Siabuswa.
Ah, you're from Siabuswa.
Yes, Siabuswa.
I know Siabuswa very well. Beautiful. And yes, the other point I wanted to just for clarity, which subjects in matric did you do?
As I've explained, after matric, I took a gap year. That's when I went to live with my uncle, who was a dentist.
Yes.
But
in matric, which subjects did you do for your grade 12?
Grade 12, I did business economics, I did accounting, I did computer studies and geography, and the two languages, which was English and Afrikaans.
Wow. I'm glad that I'm fascinated that you did take business studies subjects in matric. So I have a tendency of nicknaming my speaking partners on this platform based on the story they tell. And I think I've just coined one for you. Do you want to hear it?
Please, I'd love to hear it.
You can slot it in between Ingrid and Thokozile. I think I will call you an anointed entrepreneur.
I accept that one.
Yeah? It sounds like the moment you were born, you were anointed to become a practitioner entrepreneur, and you did exactly that. Maybe I'm ahead of myself because I'm still going to try and find out exactly what is it that you are doing in your enterprise. But first things first, and based on your intro, it sounds like you were anointed.
Mr. Tsema, there's a quote by Steve Jobs that I really like. It says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards."
Yes.
So you have to trust that the dots somehow connect in the future. You have to trust that your God or your karma or whatever. So in retrospect, my professional journey has led me to where I am today. My life in a nutshell has led me to where I am today. Some of the decisions were not consciously made. It was opportunities and yes, it was opportunities I was presented with at the time, like with the subjects that I took, business, economics. I just gravitated towards it, not because at that time I was thinking that I was going to be in business, but it felt familiar. It felt familiar. So I am today. There's always been an element of helping, of helping communities based on the work that I do, and I've always gravitated towards initiatives that will solve inequality and injustice and disadvantaged communities, and that has been my life's purpose. That has been the cause that I have been dealt with, and I find the greatest of joy and fulfillment in doing this work. Hence, my company that I started called Vunanati. It's all about that. We are advocates of true transformation for this country.
Wow. You have just introduced it, and it sounds like it's in your veins, it's in your system, right?
It is. Yes, it is.
And that can only be your calling.
Definitely. It's like I said, the work that has been part of my life it's not just a career. It's how I've lived my life. It's how when I'm faced with questions, of improving my life, there's always an element of humanitarian there. There's always an element of how can I help. So combining that with business, the two elements gave me this idea to start a business in socio-economic development.
So I may regard you as a social entrepreneur as well.
Yes, I am.
Wow. An anointed social entrepreneur.
I'm sure to put that in on my profile.
And so, what are the gaps in the community that you picked up and you are responding to them with this enterprise of yours?
So, holistically, transformation may mean different things to different people. And in essence, transformation indicates change, right? So this change can occur in various aspects in organizations, including the structure, the products or services, the diversity, race, age, or gender or background, or simply doing things differently. So transformation strategy development is about incorporating these aspects and specifically focus on the BBBE drivers and requirements. What I've realized is that in South Africa, transformation is often driven by compliance considerations. However, transformation for me can be seen as a catalyst to address South Africa's socio-economic problems and its associated impact on business. More and more organizations are embracing the notion that to remain relevant in a changing economy, a corporate transformation strategy is a fundamental requirement. It is also essential that these strategies are incorporated beyond compliance. So my goal is to address these economic and social environment challenges for our clients, organizations, while ensuring that measurable impact and returns on investments is seen as well.
So you are you run a consulting enterprise, or is it more in the
enterprise?
Is it a consulting enterprise?
Yes, it's a consulting enterprise.
I see, and totally different from what your dad used to do.
Totally different.
And tell me more. How did that come about?
was a combination of the roles I have played when I was in corporate. My first professional job, I worked at the Department of Housing in Johannesburg, CBD, and I was a community liaison officer. So what we did, we went to the rural townships, the disadvantaged communities, to teach them about how to apply for RDP houses at the time, and also giving them life skills, because we went to the poorest of communities. And I remember, because I travel a lot, we went to live in those communities. And at one point, we were waiting for the bus to take us to the main office, and I saw children walking a distance. I don't know how long the distance it was, but it was quite long, and it was during winter. Some of them were walking barefoot, some of them did not have jerseys on, and that really pained me. Because of my mind and how it works, I was already thinking of solutions, how we can improve those children's lives. How about, because there was only 6 of us in that bus that we were using to commute to the office, and it was a big bus, and we would travel on the same route where the children would be going to school. I approached my superior at that time and asked them if this could be done and can we give them a lift. And yes, of course we did. But I was already, my entrepreneurial mind was thinking of long-term sustainable solutions for these children. Maybe get the government involved, get them a local bus. How that help. But because I was there for another project, I did not fulfill the journey that already my mind was sparking up. But it just shows that I always want to solve problems. So working in these communities, I saw the inequality that was experienced by the people living there. I saw the living conditions, people living in shacks, 6 people living in a small shack. All those things. I wanted to be one of those South Africans that makes a difference. And from then on, I moved to a bigger corporate company, where I actually did something different. I was an events coordinator.
Which company was that?
It was Discovery Health.
Wow, in Sandton.
In Sandton, yes. I moved to Discovery, and my portfolio was doing all the internal events. And I found that a lot of the events that I was doing, it was the CSI related. And a lot of the work that I was doing was actually CSI-related events, launches, and NGO-related, and also, looking at that specific industry, it falls into place with what had been placed in my heart. And I took an interest in that. I spoke to a lady that I used to work in alongside with. Her name was Mariska Pillay, who mentored me a lot, who showed me the ropes, and who made me understand what CSI was all about. And that's when I actually chose what my next career would be, because you find that you go through different careers in life, and you are blind to what you are actually doing. You just go from job to job as long as you are getting a salary. But for me, it was more than that. I found myself at the point where I wanted a career. I didn't want to move from job to job. So because now I know what I like, I know what work I love doing. And then now I have the background, that I've been given the theoretical understanding of CSI and how it links up to Triple BE. And then I decided, I want to learn more about Triple BE. I want to know how transformation works. And that's when I started moving towards joining a consultancy. I went to join a consultancy that dealt with the transformation and Triple BE, and I learned from there. And that's when, at the back of my head, I was formulating all these different strategies of eventually when you leave this place, you are not going to look for another job, because now you have the practical understanding, you have the theoretical understanding of what is needed to make transformation successful in South Africa. This is what I've been working towards. So it made me understand why I had been choosing the different roles I had been to get to that particular place.
And the name of the consultancy that taught you BBBE?
It was Siaka.
Wow. I knew that it would be a name that I know. Yeah, now I know Siaka.
Can I tell you a little bit? Can I tell you a little story? I think that's how I was able to find you, because I'm sure you know the CEO of Siaka.
Yes.
Dion Kerr.
Yes.
He speaks highly of you.
Yeah, I know him.
I can't remember what project I was doing, and she referred me to you and said, this man, if you contact him, he will be able to help you. And that's how I connected with you in LinkedIn, even though we did not continue speaking about the project that I was doing. But that's how I connected with you through LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing with me that insight. Often I wish I could ask my connection how they were triggered to want to connect with me, and it's very fascinating what leads to such. And there's another story I will share one day, how I connected with somebody outside South Africa, and then when we were busy talking, and then I tried, let me check her on LinkedIn, only to find that we are connected, and then you understand. So it's a very small world. Before we continue, I want to take you back to the point you raised when you were explaining how you moved from Discovery to Siaka. You mentioned that for you it was more about a career than a job. I want you to explain that for our listeners, and especially some people that are coming after us who want to really to make success in corporate. The difference between a career and a job. That is one of my favorite discussion points, and because they are different. There's a difference there.
There is a difference, but living in South Africa, Mr. Tsema, you must also understand that we have a shortage of jobs, and we find ourselves doing jobs that we really are not interested in, and we really can't have a career out of those jobs. So we take whatever jobs is available. I mean, at some point we were looking for analysts at one of the companies that I had worked for. We were looking for BE analysts, and we found a lot of applications, people who were not analysts at all, but because there's a shortage of jobs, people are just putting CVs everywhere, and you find yourself that you will have a job, but it's not necessarily where your skill sets are or where your passion is, and it leads to a point where you really, really get frustrated. So you really have to be mindful, once you're in that position, that, I might be in this particular position, being in a job that I really don't like, but while you're in that position, have ways or have a strategy on how you can turn that into a career, or maybe study further, or maybe venture into something that will lead you to a path where you're able to start your career. Because I remember a friend of mine, we were having a discussion. She's a chef. And she's a chef because it's a passion of hers, but she doesn't really want to make she really doesn't want to be a chef long term. So she had the strategy. While she's while she was working in a hotel. She saved money, and her long-term goal was to be a clinical psychologist. She saved money and enrolled into UNISA, where she studied for her psychology degree and eventually her honors. And when she explained to me how it was a very painful journey for her, but she was able to get into a career that she loved. Solely because she found an opportunity to do that while she was employed and doing something that she was not really passionate about. So you really have to be cognizant of where you are, whether you're enjoying what you're doing, and whether you see yourself doing that particular job long term. If you're not, we have opportunities. South Africa is a minefield. That's how I look at it. It's a minefield. There's lots of opportunities, especially for black females, and the government is also assisting a lot in creating these opportunities. It is very difficult, but we have to be at a position where we understand that it's not just the government's responsibility to get us to a point where we are able to find fulfillment in the work that we do. It is up to you.
Absolutely, and I think it's very important the point you've raised, or you have implied, that your job can be a stepping stone to your career. It need not be the only thing that drives your energies. Yeah, and I also like the point you're raising about the opportunities that exist in South Africa, especially for black females. And I hear you also then saying or implying that one has to be very intentional about it. Here is the opportunity that's been created by the policy of the government and the programs and strategy of the government, and I happen to be the target of those policies, strategies, and programs, and therefore I need to position myself in a way that I go for them, rather than ignoring them and just shooting in the dark.
That is so true. You have to. I wake up in the morning with that mentality that I see South Africa as a minefield. Where am I going to dig for gold today? What opportunities am I going to go for? I know there will be rejections, but for the mere fact that you wake up feeling positive about going to dig for gold and looking for opportunities, it's how we need to. It's the shift that our society needs to move to, because you find that a lot of us, majority of South Africans, are reliant on the government to actually implement everything, whilst it's really up to each and every individual to create the opportunities within the different places that opportunities lie.
Wow, I love that. I love that, because we have a bit of educating to do for many of our people and ourselves. In that the main function of any government anywhere in the world, number one, is to have strategy for the country, then to come up with policies, and then programs to support the beneficiaries of those policies and strategies, who happen to be the citizens. And it's up to the citizens then to ready themselves and grab those opportunities. Now, I often find that when people are not able to capitalize on those opportunities, and because of their own faults and their own making, then people still say, no, the government is not helpful. I mean, that is not how it's supposed to be. Yes, government can be helpful with special programs like broad-based black economic empowerment, you name them. But in principle, in reality, that is not what the government is there for.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we need to meet them halfway, and I like that, because we have a duty to really reorientate people so that people don't sit on the sidelines waiting to be helped all the way, because that will be the recipe for disaster in many years to come.
And that is quite correct, Mr. Sima. So that's why in the work that I do, I know that there's a lot of socio-economic development agencies out there, but I really found a niche in focusing on youth development and educational initiatives. I mean, South Africa is the largest economy in Africa, and it's still one of the most unequal globally. You know, 60% of the workforce in Africa is under the age of 30, and it is critical that South Africa turns that fast-growing young population into a dividend rather than a burden, because education and training for the future skills is a critical part in realizing the future's potential.
Wow, well said. I want to come back to the point I've raised about theory and practice, and you have mastered practice very well. And I can read in between the lines that there's a lot of theory that actually is putting your practical experience together like a glue. Now, share with me, there at the housing organization, at the Discovery and the Siaka and many others you worked for, what type of theoretical development programs were you offered? Because from what I've read from your words, you never really left to go in full-time, do any post-matric studies. It looks like you were learning on the go, but in reality, if you put all your theories together, it's almost like the equivalent of an MBA. So what are those type of interventions in between that these companies put you through that made you to be so eloquent about these things?
I was actually very grateful that when I was at Discovery, a lot of the events that I did had a skills development. So I worked a lot with the skills development team, and what they did is put together, because Discovery has it's more like an institute where we have graduates, where we upskill people that are just coming into the workforce, and the people also that want to upgrade the education based on the type of work that they do. So I did and online courses as well. So my manager was very influential in helping me to do online courses, and based on the work that I was doing and based on my journey, because we do career mapping, and that's another thing that I feel that we need to teach our graduates or even unemployed youth, that you need to create a path of where you want to go. You don't just you don't just stumble into a career. You need to create a path on how you're going to navigate your way until you get to where you're going. So I did skills development courses while I was at Discovery. It dealt a lot with people management, events management, but a lot of my education was at Siaka, because then it was really focused on the work that I was doing, and I could easily relate to it because it's what I was practicing at the time. It's what I had chosen as a career, so I could actually marry the two, which was the education that I was getting, and plus the experience that I had gained through my time spent there. So I learned a lot about triple BE and the codes of practice, and I can tell you, Dion Kerr she's a superwoman. I was not at Siaka for long, but the amount of information and knowledge I had gained it catapulted my career and my knowledge to another level.
Wonderful. Hold it there. When we come back, we're going to look closer into details, the type of interventions they put you through, and then we will then jump onto the actual business that you are running now. I'm sure people are waiting there and wanting to know exactly what you offer. We'll be back.
Thank you.